Hey, we're back with kind of like a surprise episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions on the latest games releasing. And yeah, haha, I know, I already see the comments, but you don't actually buy Red Dead Online, I know, but we've been wanting a way to revisit updated games and even free-to-play games and stuff, and Before You Buy is just the most recognizable place for it. So whatever the title of the video is, here we go. A month after the game's release, it's finally here. Squeaking into the tail end of November, this Red Dead Online mode has now rolled out for everyone who has the game, and I've had quite some time with it. Rockstar has noted that this very much is a safe rollout and is in beta, so things are subject to change. And that's very good, because as much fun as I really am having, it has a few fundamental issues I hope get ironed out. But what I do like is that what you get here feels very much like what they said it would be from the outset, a bigger and better expansion on what the original Red Dead Redemption's online multiplayer was like. I spent a lot of time with that and found it to be like really underrated. So I'm happy that jumping into Red Dead 2 Online felt kind of familiar. The same reason I went to Cowboy World Online last time remains the same here. I can roam around the world and screw around and lasso dudes for no reason, punch people, steal stuff, whatever. But then I can also engage in fun competitive game modes that embrace the fun and the feel of Western shootouts and stuff. I love that. The nice surprise here was, at least for me, is that you can get a decent amount of mileage out of playing alone. You create your online character and you're thrust into a complete story. Sure, it's not as dense as the tale of Arthur Morgan, but it's well written, it's scripted, and it introduces new and fairly interesting characters. There are legit story missions that are worth playing through with friends, or you can just matchmake with randoms before starting a mission. Rolling out with a random posse on a mission and coordinating your attacks or thievery or all manners of debauchery actually feels as good as it should. And thankfully, most matchmaking on my end has worked pretty seamlessly. But alone or together, when you're out in the world, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Go hunting to score some cash, rob NPCs, stumble upon stranger missions just like single player, visit the gunsmith, customize your guns, or just continue working through the moderately interesting story missions. The only thing that takes me out of it is that your character doesn't talk, and it's almost distracting to a silly degree at times, but I digress. The open world is just a good sandbox for hilarity, if I'm honest. The honor system is still in place with some changes, and killing other people in the world can be fun and dumb while having just enough consequence and the ability to parlay, but thankfully it just embraces the fun. Across my adventure, I actually managed to encounter not only just the usual homicidal maniacs playing online, but also a lot of friendly folks looking to ride together or even legit roleplay in some towns. It's cool. You can lasso people and get into fistfights, which I also found really fun. I found myself laughing out loud at times, and because the game retains the pretty easy snap lock-on system from single player, it's really easy to pull off headshots and just instantly put people down. It's definitely not for highly competitive play, but it's freaking funny and fun. That lock-on, love it or hate it, also translates over to showdowns, which are the game's versions of competitive modes that you can jump into. You'll be on foot, on horseback, and everything you do in single player, but playing to win. And because of the lock-on and easy headshots, time to kill is hilariously short, but it still manages to be really fun and often tense. There's stuff like team deathmatch and area capture, but they are doing some really, really brilliant stuff with some alternate modes. There's one mode where you start with all good weapons, and it's like team deathmatch point-based, where you get more points the more you use a difficult weapon. So easy repeater fire doesn't get you as much points as a tomahawk throw or a point-blank shotgun headshot. It's a great mode that encourages experimentation and craziness in a way you don't always see, and I just appreciated that. There's also Red Dead's humble little take on a last man standing type mode called Make It Count, and you start in the middle of the woods with a bow and some arrows and a throwing knife, and you have one life, and other players are creeping around to take each other out. The longer you stay in one spot, the more you'll pop up on radar. I'm really, really terrible in this mode, but it's freaking awesome. Maybe it's the dense woods they built, or the silence, or the tension. I don't know. It's just fun. I'd also like to eventually maybe see it have its own separate playlist if it takes off. The game is still clearly in beta though, and sometimes pretty rough. There are a lot of loading screens, and sometimes you get booted from something when you're not expecting. If a player leaves mid-story mission, it gets kind of sloppy, and at least here on Xbox One X, the frame rate dropped to pretty bad levels at times. The game still looks fairly decent, although some detail and some life is lost in spots. Towns feel a little bit different, but that's stuff I get for multiplayer. I just hope they can clean up the frame rate a bit. Again, I know the game is in beta, but I'd like to see that. Still, it's impressive to have all these players running around in a world together online and looking gorgeous as well. It's cool. But the other area I'm not fond of totally is the progression. Now, you've probably heard about this, but it's grindy as hell. Rockstar said they are tweaking things. Nothing is final, but the paid-for currency, also known as gold bars, which you are eventually going to be able to purchase with real-world money, is given out at a trickle to you. Like, over the course of hours of active, productive play, I barely got like 1 gold bar. When you get these, you use them to get earlier access to purchase items with your normal cash. And that cash itself, the regular in-game cash, is also given out pretty sparingly. It feels a lot like GTA Online, which I know some people loved and embraced the grind, but others found it to be way too much, too aggressive. There is no pay to win, to be fair. This is all cosmetics, but the sense of progression is lost when you feel like you're barely gaining anything in terms of currencies over the long haul. I really, really hope they can adjust this a bit and make it a bit more reasonable, because right now, I'm not a fan. Otherwise, the progression, the horse bonding, and leveling up does feel similar to single player, although now your character will actually have a level that dictates what kind of gear you can access to buy, as well as doing stuff in your camp, which you do have similar to single player, but it's more fun if you roll with a group or a posse. From weapons and holsters and clothing and stuff, there's clearly a lot here to dig into, but it's all in the name of simple, good-natured fun. The gameplay itself, the moment-to-moment gameplay, I really, really enjoy it already. I just wish there was stronger progression. There are unlockable ability cards, which do some clever things like giving you different Deadeye attributes and other buffs and stuff, but I just don't see myself going crazy for gaining them in the long term. And the gold grinding stuff, like I said, seems kinda unfulfilling and unbalanced right now as it is. If they can clean that up, as well as the performance, I'd be happy with this whole package as a nice, really nice complement to the single player game I personally love very much. That's really it. Try it out if you have the game, see it for yourself. I don't know. That's a before you buy. I give you some pros, some cons, some personal opinion, and now I definitely want to hear yours down in the comments. Have you been playing with friends? Have you been playing alone? Have you tried this at all? What do you think? Are you like me? Are you really into the competitive game modes, maybe even more than you'd expect? Or are you quietly, lonely, roaming the open world and just messing with people and grinding for stuff? I want to know how you're playing Red Dead Online. I want to know what you think down in the comments. But of course, if you got anything else for me, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Jake Baldino. As usual, if you enjoyed this video and learned something, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. We really appreciate it. But if you are new, you should consider subscribing because we put out stuff like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.